Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube, featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings, the AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. Roundtable Sports, real coverage from real fans.
NFC South Roundtable, how is it kicking? It is your usual suspects back at it again for a live video to break down what just happened here in Week 5 of the 2024 NFL season. As always, I am your host, Colby Cochran with Roundtable Sports, and boy, oh boy, do we have a show in store for you guys, one of which is talking about an in-division rival game, the Falcons, the Buccaneers. I cannot wait to see these guys break down the game. Most importantly, though, guys, there is a hurricane around the bend, obviously, with Tampa being one of the teams we cover here. I know a lot of people are in Tampa, and to say the least, it's supposed to be a pretty rough situation. So if you are in Tampa, you are in Florida, you're anywhere that is going to be involved with the hurricane, first off, we appreciate and love you guys for still tuning in and watching the video, but please do what you have to do. Take precautions, stay safe, and do everything you can to avoid any harm. Evacuate if you need to. But we're going to try to get your minds off of all the things going on in the world for about the next hour. Of course, this video is brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you guys a little bit later how you can get an exclusive deal from them. But without further ado, let's just start bringing in the fellas. And Smitty, buddy, I want to start with you. Buddy, because let me tell you, that was one heck of a game that you guys played with the Buccaneers. Back and forth, overtime. My emotions wild in that game for you guys. I mean, I was going up and down. I was like, James. I was like, Smitty. And then Kirk Cousins comes through, and you guys, the vibes are crazy right now in Atlanta. Smitty, buddy, how you feeling?
Hey, man, I'm feeling alive, man. This is 3-2 at the top of the division right now. So, hey, man, I'm all for it. And, man, I haven't felt a vibe like this in a minute. And we got another game coming up Sunday, so we could move that number up even more. But, man, let's get into this thing, man. But, again, like you said, man, shout out to the people in the path of the storm, Hurricane Milton, man. Prayers out to them. We never like to see things like this, but I pray they be safe. And it's a tough situation, man.
Yeah, man, a situation that really comes down to being more than football. It takes all of us. It takes the community, and it takes awareness.
Thanks.
Not just that, too. I mean, we're talking about the people, and the people are obviously very important. But not just that. I've seen a lot of shelters, trying to find homes for these dogs, not even permanently, but just looking for homes for these dogs, for these pets for the next week. So if you are in the Tampa area, or you are able to just take on one of these animals for just the next few days, please do your part. It does take all of us. Keep everybody safe, not just the people, but also the animals. Please don't let anybody suffer throughout these hard times. Do your part, reach out to your shelters, and take in these animals while they need a home over the next few days. But let's go ahead and let's bring in James, buddy. Look, you were on the other side of the win here. You guys ended up losing. It was a close one. It was a classic in-division rival matchup. Didn't expect anything less, and the game didn't disappoint. But obviously, maybe you a little bit disappointed because you guys weren't the ones that were able to come out with that dub.
Yeah, obviously I'm happy to be back here for another week again. Just wanted to echo the points that you guys made about the hurricane. Obviously, that's in my neck of the woods, in my backyard. So anybody who's also in the area as well, again, like what Smitty and Colby were saying, please be safe and take the necessary precautions. On the football side of things, yeah, I mean, freaking division games are tough, man. So I can't wait to dive into it. And yeah, that was a bit of a tough loss.
Yeah, tough loss, man. But you know what? I don't believe in moral victories, but like when you play in overtime, right? Like you played as well as you could at the end of the day. I mean, when it comes that close, you can't be too hard on your team. It's still sore. A win is a win, a loss is a loss. But when it comes down to that much of a margin, your team clearly played well enough. So let's go ahead and let's bring in Clay, buddy. How are you doing? Panthers maybe not able to continue that reign of terror we saw when the Red Rifle came in a few weeks ago, but maybe back down to earth here.
I've been back down to earth. I mean, it was the Raiders game was nice. It was you get to, ride that high for a little bit, but let's just stop pretending that it's a simple fix. This team is flawed from the ground up. It's not just about Bryce Young or Andy Dalton, the quarterback situation. It's about a complete overall of how this franchise operates. That's what I've been saying. This isn't just a rough patch. It's a reality check that everybody needs to realize as Panthers fans. They need to accept that we're just not that good this year, period. And the sooner that they acknowledge that, the better. And everyone needs to stop acting like one player is going to solve everything when the entire system is just broken.
Damn, dude. I feel bad for you. I actually here getting sad for Clay, man, because look, as a Patriots fan too, here I am in the dumps over the last couple seasons. I'm just like, man, I'm used to being in Super Bowls and we suck now. Clay's here just like, man, can I get a damn win? I don't even need a Super Bowl. Just give me a damn win.
Right.
Positive vibes, buddy. I'm saying positive vibes out there in the middle. But last, but certainly not least, got my brother TJ coming in. TJ, you played just last night, and man, oh man, I was rooting for y'all. How are the Chiefs still undefeated, man? It makes absolutely no sense to me. We're going to get into the game, but it looked like maybe it could be back and forth. It goes on, come out of halftime. It just seems like it got away from you guys.
Yeah, man. It's levels to this thing called football. You got your elite football teams, and then you got the teams that's just trying to figure it out. And the New Orleans Saints found out where they were as far as the pecking order of the National Football League. And, of course, if you add on all of the things that have transpired over the last couple of weeks involving the New Orleans Saints, I mean, hit after hit. And now you're hearing the stuff about Derek Carr being out multiple weeks. I mean, sometimes you just got to look at it and say the football guys are cruel, but nobody feels sorry for them at the end of the day. You got to continue to battle, and we'll see, but it's not really looking good for the black and gold right now.
Yeah, and TJ, we talked about this just a few weeks ago. Y'all start off the season hot as heck. You look like one of the hottest damn teams in football. You're providing blowouts in back-to-back weeks. You take your first loss in a close one with the Eagles, and we say, okay, what are the Saints going to do here? Are the Saints going to use this game as a get-right game? They bring you back down to reality and fix the little problems that you have to be the team that you saw in weeks 1 and weeks 2? Or is this going to be the thing that brings you back down to reality? It's kind of like that situation, like I pointed out to you a couple of weeks ago, where it's kind of like when you're in school and you're rooting for all 90s, but the second you hit a grade below that 90, you're like, I'm done. I don't care. And was that going to be the situation for the Saints as soon as they lost the game? And unfortunately, so far, it looks like that's exactly what's happening to them. But guys, we're going to break down all of these games here in just a second. But real quick, I do want to give a massive shout out, of course, to the sponsors of this channel, not just for today's video, but all football season long. That is none other than the best damn sportsbook on the platform over at BetUS. Right now, when you guys sign up on their website or with their mobile app, it takes less than 60 seconds to sign up. And you guys use the promo code like you see on the screen, YouTube150. That is YouTube150. You can get a limited time exclusive offer of a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125% sign up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. BetUS giving you the best damn opportunities this football season to have a little bit of extra fun. A little bit more here about BetUS. They have the fastest payouts in the industry. They can give you a 200% crypto deposit bonus, fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, best betting variety in the business. BetUS can even give you a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year. Tell me a sportsbook that is taking care of you and your money the way that BetUS is. You can't, because nobody else is doing it. Did you guys also know that BetUS can give you your very own personalized account manager? They are changing the sportsbook game. Let me tell you. Most importantly, though, I mean, let's remember, play smart, play responsible. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. Never bet to put food on the table. Never bet to pay your rent. Only bet to have a little bit of extra fun. And again, only what you can afford to lose. If somebody you know or somebody you love is dealing with an issue, please reach out, get the proper help that you need. In fact, if you go to BetUS's website, they actually have a page dedicated to getting you that help that you need if you or someone that you know is dealing with a gambling problem. So play it smart, but have a little bit of extra fun this upcoming football season. And remember that supporting the sponsors that support the channel directly supports every creator that you see here. And of course, everybody behind the scenes at Roundtable Sports. But without further ado, fellas, I want to start hopping into these games. And Smitty, buddy, let's just start with you. Give me your takes on what happened with this in-division game. Falcons against the Buccaneers. Y'all, of course, reign as champions. Break it down for me.
Well, this game, the defense been carrying us most of the year. So this game, the offense stepped up because the defense seemed out of sorts this game. But they kept us close. They do what they usually do. They came back the second half, played stronger down the stretch. Forced the necessary turnovers, and the ball bounced there our way too, and I'm not going to lie about that. But at the end of the day, you got to take what another team gives you to get a victory, and that's what we did. Kirk Cousins' career performance, man, 509 yards. You talk about Kyle Pitts, who I said they had to get involved. They did that. They did that right off the bat, and that ended up, I think, setting the tempo early on for this team. Darnell Mooney, who still to me looks like the number one receiver, even though Drake London had 154 yards, 12 catches. This team, they just battled to the end, and that's what you have to do if you want to become a winning franchise, winning team, and make a strong name for yourself. Also, the run game being unbalanced almost caught up to us this game. You can't do that, going forward. So, strong run game going forward, they have to do it. Also, pass rush, non-existent. That's got to change. They got to find a way, even if they have to be creative with these blitzes, they got to find a way to get to the quarterback. But this game is a perfect example of playing down to the wire and the ball bouncing your way. So 3-2 is sitting pretty good with me right now, and bring on Carolina.
Bring on Carolina. Smitty is ready for the next matchup already as he's feeling himself. Y'all got a couple of wins here in the win column, and who knows? I mean, it's early on in the season, but maybe trending towards the Falcons pushing for a playoff spot and maybe making some noise with the way that, of course, y'all are trending upwards. But James, let's get on here into you next. What did you think about what Smitty had to say about the Falcons? And then, of course, let us know your thoughts. Break down this game for me completely. You go into overtime. It looks like it could be back and forth. You had an opportunity to win the game, but, of course, unfortunately, you just come slightly short. Break this all down for me.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, to Smitty's point on the Falcons, this is a monumental win for them. Look, they have a game. They're 2-0 in the division right now, which would already be pretty bad for the Bucs' chances in the NFC South. But they have a win against Tampa Bay and a win against New Orleans. That's bad for Tampa. That's bad for New Orleans. Atlanta's sitting pretty good right now, and they have a division game now against the Carolina Panthers. And if they win that, they're already, winning half of their division games this year. So this was a very big win for Atlanta. Okay. We had discussed in the preview before that this was possibly going to be a game that you saw the, running offense for the Falcons try and take control. That was not the case. The Falcons passed at will against the Bucs. Kirk Cousins has the 15th most passing yards in a game now in NFL history with this matchup, and the most in Falcons franchise history for a quarterback in a game. So it was absolutely a coming out game for Kirk Cousins. Now, is that going to be the identity of the Falcons offense going forward, or was it just an absolutely abysmal game by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But far and away, the Falcons are a sticky team this year. I mean, every single game this year for them, they have either won by one score or lost by one score. So that's really been defining them this year. We'll see if that continues going forward, but that was a big win for the Falcons. Absolutely. They hung in it. They never really let the game get out of hand, and it resulted in them winning in overtime. And that's even with a couple of mistakes on their end, with Younghoe Koo missing a kick or two there. But ultimately that offense, that's passing offense specifically, was absolutely electric for the Falcons. Now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side of things, you have a lot of stuff to clean up. Defensively, absolutely abysmal game in terms of the passing defense. It was one of the worst games I've seen from Jamel Dean maybe in his entire career. Zion McCollum, I thought, looked pretty decent, but the rookie Tyke Smith out of Georgia struggled mightily. Backup safety Christian Izien struggled mightily. Jordan Whitehead left the game pretty much right after the first half. Look, this Bucs defense is missing Antoine Winfield Jr. They are missing Jordan Whitehead. They're missing Kalijah Cansey. I don't say that as an excuse. I'm saying that as like they need those guys back to play better defense. Otherwise, you get more games that may look like this going forward in the future. If your guys aren't able to come back healthier to reinforce this defense, right? So that's going to be the biggest question going forward for the Bucs. I would like to believe that this game is an outlier where you don't expect the Bucs to give up 500 passing yards going forward. I don't think they will, but this more so highlights the just very big need to get Winfield Jr. healthy, to get Jordan Whitehead healthy, to get Kalijah Cansey healthy. On the offensive side of things, look, I still believe Baker Mayfield is playing an MVP caliber type of season so far. I know it's very, very early, but he's second in the league in touchdowns right now in terms of passing. He's ninth in terms of passing yards, but that second half was very quiet. They only scored 6 points in the second half. I want Liam Cohen to take this as a learning opportunity to not let his foot off the pedal, so to speak. Because, you know, again, like these type of divisional games, teams can stick around. And that's how the Falcons were able to win this game, was because they always stuck around. The Bucs never really separated. If this would have been a 2-score game at any point, maybe you could have given the Buccaneers the win in that type of scenario, but that was not the case. The Falcons always kept it a 1-score game. And while a big part of that was the defense, another part of that was the offense. Bucky Irving had a fumble late. People may reference the no face mask call at the end of the game. Look, if you kind of take control of the game earlier on, it doesn't come down to those types of moments, in my opinion. So I think the Buccaneers should learn from this matchup. And look, going forward, and I'm sure TJ feels the same way. Both the Saints and the Bucs have to win this next matchup, and only one team can do it, right? So that makes this game against the Saints so much more important, and playing Atlanta here in a couple of weeks even more important now, because if you get swept by the Falcons, you're not winning this division if you're Tampa Bay. Point blank, simple as that. And now you also got to hope that the Saints can split with Atlanta later on in the season as well. So this was a huge loss for Tampa Bay. This one stings. You only hope that they can learn from it going forward and get back to playing some winning football.
Yeah, man, I look at this too, and it sucks for the Buccaneers just because your offense didn't let you down. I think your offense played really, really well. This Falcons defense is good. I mean, you look at Dogs in the secondary. It looks like you look at Dogs on that defensive line, and y'all were still able to put up 30 points. I mean, whether it was Baker Mayfield, whether it was even the run game did fairly well, whether it was your receiving games, like these guys showed up for the most part when they needed to. The problem was that defense, right? I mean, asking your offense to essentially put up 40 points if they're going to win this game, that's not realistic. And I think that some people are going to get on the Buccaneers offense slightly just because, you know, you look at the deficit and say, well, you guys got to be able to come back. Y'all got to be able to put up points on the board. Y'all got to make sure that you're hitting your kicks and dotting your X's and dotting your O's here. But again, 36 points to the Atlanta Falcons. And Kirk Cousins, 58 passes. I mean, for his age, this guy passing for 58 times is absolutely wild. And passing for 509 yards is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, real quick, Colby, to that point, right? You know, look, the offensive game plan of the Falcons, in my opinion, was Tampa Bay, look, we dare you to stop us on the pass. And they never did. Right? They never did. In between the numbers, they were eaten alive. I mean, everybody ate. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and even Ray McLeod a little bit, you know. They just didn't have an answer at the end of the day for that passing attack for the Falcons. In terms of the running game, to Smitty's, point earlier, like, they didn't get a lot out of Bijan Robinson in terms of balanced play and whatnot, but they didn't need to. Aside from that missed Younghoe Koo kick, the Falcons only punted once in that game. Once. That's just not good enough. That's simply not good enough from a defense. Again, you're missing Winfield. And I don't even mean like that as an excuse. I mean, like, they are missing. Like, they really wish they had Antoine Winfield Jr. right now. Jordan Whitehead being healthier. Even Kalijah Kancey helping out with that pass rush. Again, the entire story of that game was Atlanta literally just taking exactly what the Bucs defense was giving them. So now the Bucs need to learn from that and get healthier going forward.
Yeah, just the way that I see this, you really can't be upset with how the Buccaneers offense was able to come up, show up, and perform. It just comes down to that Buccaneers defense at the end of the day, and that has to be how they lost. I mean, you let them do exactly what they wanted to do. You let them do whatever they wanted to do. Bijan Robinson, 5.1 yards on average, 2 receivers going for over 100 yards, and Kyle Pitts, who we're talking about, is he a traded candidate? Is someone you want to get rid of because he's just not the guy? I mean, he goes for 88 yards. So just a rough game overall. But Clay, what are your thoughts on this game? I think we got you muted there, Clay.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the Bucs kind of gave this one away in some sort of way. You know what I mean? I felt like I felt like they kind of gift wrapped it and handed over because the Bucs defense in overtime just collapsed. Right, like the Falcons walked down the field and scored, and then Todd Bowles' defense got its lunch handed to him, and the Bucs fans are probably like, want to invest in some therapy after that one. And listen, coming from an organization, one of the most dysfunctional organizations, there are therapists out there. Okay. But yeah, I mean, Baker was solid in this. But the defense just sucked. And I think James alluded to it. They've got to get these guys back. They got to get them healthy. It doesn't help when you've got those major injuries, come in like this. But I mean, you also got to give kudos to Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta also, Kirk Cousins did his damn thing, and that's what you've been wanting Kirk Cousins to do. That's what Atlanta's been waiting on. The Falcons defense started off like garbage, but they ended the game when it mattered. And so I still think that they need to work on their pass rush. They can't get any pass rush on the quarterback there in Atlanta or stop the run. But, Falcons won at the end of the day.
And TJ, let's go on over to you. What did you think about this in-division game?
I thought this was a really good game. Definitely was the game of week 5. Both teams really came out there. You can tell that both teams wanted this football game. Both teams did really good things to win this game. Baker Mayfield, I mean, what can you say about him? The guy, man, has a heart of a champion. I mean, he was out there battling. I honestly feel like if they probably would have won the coin toss, he probably would have drove down the field and scored a touchdown. Look, I gotta admit, the Atlanta Falcons, they're a good football team. But when you combine good and it seemed like they just got luck on their side, man. You combine being good and have luck on your side. Like, how can you lose? Like, the last couple of weeks, we've been saying the same exact thing for every single game that the Falcons have played in. Man, the other team gave the Falcons the game. 3rd and 4 versus Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley drops the ball. If he catches that football, completely different story. Saints with a whole bunch of different mistakes. Taysom Hill scored 2 straight touchdowns. It looked like the Saints were going to kind of flex their muscle there. He leaves the game. A bunch of uncharacteristic mistakes. They give him the game. And then you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They pretty much salting the game away. Bucky Irvin, like, he got the first down. And it was just a good defensive play by Jesse Bates ripping the ball out of his hands. I mean, that was a young kid. You got to learn that that's what's going to happen during those 4-minute drills. And, like I said, if you combine the fact that they're a much better football team they've been in years past, and they have luck on their side for the last couple of weeks, like, that's just the way that the ball bounced. Sometimes you need to be a good football team, but sometimes you need a little bit of luck as well. And they got everything going for them. So, it's going to be interesting to see what teams can do down the stretch. I still think that this division is still wide open as far as what other teams can do. But they definitely separated themselves with, some of the things that have happened and transpired over the last couple of games, man. Look, you don't apologize for things, ball bouncing your way or opportunities that present itself. You take advantage of it. And then also you can just tell that those type of games, those phone booth type games, that's what defines champions. Like those are the type of games where if the Atlanta Falcons end up doing something at the end of the season, they're going to look back on NFL films and they're going to look at these type of games where things kind of went their way and they took advantage of those opportunities. So look, you don't apologize for, these type of performances. You take the W's and you add them up, and at the end of the season, hopefully you're standing tall among everyone else.
For sure. And before we move on from this game and we get into Clay and have you break down what happened with the Panthers here, Smitty, I want to go back to you real quick, just because I feel like one of the biggest storylines still with the Falcons, like y'all have Kirk Cousins, y'all are winning, y'all are doing all these things. But I'm still hearing so many people talk about and have interest in Matthew Judon and Simmons. So can you just give us an update real quick? How have those guys looked so far through 5 weeks? And do you think that both of those guys have provided the impact that you expected to when you signed them?
I actually think they've done a hell of a job. Matthew Judon, I think he could use more help up front on the other side. I think that's restricting his game just a little bit. They can also help collapse the pocket a little bit more in the interior of the defensive line. But other than that, Justin Simmons, what can you say? He's covered. He's made plays. He's broken up passes. He's made key stops. You can't ask for nothing more from either guy. But Matthew Judon has to get more help up front on that defensive line in order for him to make a super impact that we're used to him having. We know he's a 3-4 guy. He played that in Baltimore. He played that in New England. And now he's playing in Atlanta. So he's in the perfect scheme that fits his skill set. So all they have to do is scheme and game plan just a little bit better for him to make more of an impact, because I think once he does that, it takes this defense to a next level once he gets his confidence up to where it needs to be.
Yeah, man, you look at Simmons too, and you're just like, how in God's name did this dude just not go signed for so long? Like, there's just some of those players where you look at them and they're on the market for so long, and you're like, throw a bag at this dude at some point, because he still has that dog in him, and he clearly still does. And it's one of those situations where he's balling out with the Falcons right now, and you're looking back as a fan of your team, and you're just like, why did my team not go after Simmons to try to bolster our defense?
Honestly, Kobe, that comes down to players having the same agent at the end of the day. Usually when players have the same agent, they have the inside track. So that's what happened.
There you go. There you go. Smitty giving us the answer key here. But want to give a big shout out to Rod here with a $2 donation, the first donator of today's stream. When you do support us here with donations, it supports everybody on the screen massively. And everybody at Roundtable Sports says, swag and surfing Kirk coming. Hashtag Riz up. Ooh, Riz up. All right. Man, Falcons fans, you guys are representing. Y'all are feeling good. I can see it in the chat. I like it. Y'all are coming and representing every single week, just like y'all should be. Respect.
I will say this though, Kobe. You like what Kirk Cousins is bringing to Atlanta as a dose of confidence. There was one play I wanna mention. There was one play I want to say, maybe it was like when Darnell Mooney was wide open and he threw a pass to Darnell Mooney and he dropped it. And the very next play, he threw the pass right to Darnell Mooney, and Darnell Mooney got a first down. I think it was the next offensive drive. But you don't know what that does to a young guy's confidence. You know, the fact that, oh man, I made a mistake right there, but my quarterback trusts in me in order for me to make another play. And then also with Kyle Pitts and Drake London, like these guys feel like they had the potential to be special. And they heard a lot of criticism, man, from people like myself and so many others that felt like maybe they weren't the part. But it just seems to me like he is really getting these young guys involved and making them feel like, like they got something to offer. So I will give Kirk Cousins that respect in that regard.
Yeah, I actually want to go piggyback because I didn't really get to say this. I want to, I did say it kind of was criticism about the defense. But Smitty did allude that Judon does need some help. But this team is talented. I do want to say that. And if they keep shooting themselves in the foot, though, that's the only thing that Atlanta continues to do is continue to shoot themselves in the foot. If they can just clean up the mess, They're legit contenders.
Yeah, they just got to, like, you know, I my biggest concern when it comes to them is when things don't just the ball doesn't bounce their way. I do feel like you still need get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. And but you have that opportunistic secondary, man. Like Jesse Bates is creating like opportunities rather is interceptions, rather is the
Right.
Peanut Tillman, the peanut punch. Like he is creating opportunities for the offense to get the ball back, man. But it's going to come a time where you're going to have to play some of these teams that are very fundamentally sound and well disciplined, and that's why I feel like the concern is going to be. But other than that, man, I mean, they clicking on all cylinders right now, man. I can't even hate on that. You know what I'm saying? They look like a really good football team, and these young guys are starting to build up confidence, and I know what that can be. Down the stretch. They finish games, and that is the calling card of a team that is trending in the right direction.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And shout out to Oblivion Empire, another Falcons fan coming in with a $2 donation saying, "Let's go, rise up, take the division, and run away." So far, that's looking like what you guys are going to do as we're heading here into week 6. But Clay, let's go ahead and let's transition on to you and your Carolina Panthers. Y'all here in week 5 went up against not a very good team, a surprisingly bad team so far this season with the Chicago Bears, and didn't really make this a close game. 10-36. Y'all fall here with another L. Why don't you break this game down for me?
Yeah. Again, plain and simple, this team's just bad. All right. It seems every week there's this new scapegoat for the Carolina Panthers issues. They do this every single, at least for the past 8 years, they've done this. And that's the fan base. We're going to blame the play calling, or you're going to blame the offensive line, the wide receivers, the Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator, defensive players, even Andy Dalton. Now suddenly Bryce goes out there on garbage time and he throws an absolute beautiful throw. And then all of a sudden he's the answer to our problems once again by this fan base. And I just don't get it. Has it ever occurred to anyone that we're just not good? Like, let's talk about the play calling. 1 week it's brilliant, and then the next it's like they're just throwing darts at a board of plays. Like Dave Canales might have some fancy ideas, but good luck executing any of them, because when the offensive line is getting absolutely manhandled, and if you can't protect your quarterback, it doesn't matter if you have the best play calls in the world. You can call a 50-yard bomb, but if your line can't hold for 2 seconds, it's all bullshit at the end of the day. And this offensive line, it's a revolving door right now with injuries. It's plagued with injuries. Our starting center's out for the year with a bicep tear. Austin Corbett. You got Taylor Moton. I don't know what's our starting right tackle. I don't know what his injury is and how long he's going to be out for. But again, and then now our wide receivers for some reason just can't catch the ball. We've had a few decent guys like Deontay Johnson, and Xavier Legette and others just drop passes. And then this defense right now, Ejiro Evero in this defense, what's the game plan here? Because it feels like every time they're playing a game, it's like, let's see how many points we can give up before halftime. Like, they can't tackle, they can't get pressure on the quarterback. The secondary looks like they're just there for the free snacks, and it's a recipe for disaster right now. Like, nothing's good coming from this. I just want people in the Carolina Panther fan base to understand this. Let's stop pretending that this is just a simple fix, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this team is flawed from the ground up. It's not just about Bryce Young anymore. It's about a complete overhaul of this franchise, okay? This isn't a rough patch. This is a reality check, and we all need to accept it as Panther fans that we're just not good this year. And the sooner that everyone acknowledges that from this fan base, the better off this fan base will be, because we need to stop acting like one player is going to solve all of our problems when the entire operation isn't absolutely broken. So I just want everybody to understand this. Carolina sucks this year, and it's just time to own it.
Honestly, Clay, respect for being able to say that, because there's a lot of fans who, even with their own fan bases, with their own teams, right, they're not able to be honest with themselves. And being able to be honest with yourself is the first step in making that change. Now your team just has to be honest with themselves, and it's going to be interesting, man. I mean, it's already an interesting season with what the league is trying to do. Robert Saleh being fired, and it's only heading into week 6. Like, it's just things we're not seeing. You know, I feel like people are having a shorter leash when it comes to quarterbacks, when it comes to coaches. Like, everybody's looking for that next big thing in the league. And not to say that the Panthers haven't been patient, because obviously they have, but I think in today's NFL, everybody's trying to jump to that next big thing with limited patience, just trying to hit on that next thing. And, you know, it's either you have it or you don't, unfortunately, between owners and fan bases. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the Carolina Panthers decide to go about the situation after really they started this rebuild not that long ago, if you think about it, and they're already looking to have to restart it all over again. But TJ, let's go on over to you. What did you think about this Panthers and Bears game?
Well, you know, I think that the Carolina Panthers, I got to agree with what Clay said. I mean, it's just a train wreck right now. I feel bad for the Carolina Panthers fans out there, man. They're a great bunch of people. I mean, I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is about 3 hours away from Charlotte. So I interact with my fair share of Carolina Panthers fans, and they just want to see a respectable team that's worth the price of admission on the field each and every week. I just think that when you have an owner that's just too heavily involved in business affairs that involve football, I think with some of the mistakes that they made, I mean, I was just taking a look. And Clay, close your ears here. But I'm just looking at some of the things that the Chicago Bears got out of this whole trade. They were able to get DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, the offensive tackle, Tariq Stevenson, the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, Torrey Taylor, and they got a 2nd-round pick in the 2025 draft. I mean,
DJ, you're forgetting one thing. All I'm gonna say is, part of all those trades, Christian McCaffrey was also part of those draft picks that went to the Bears. So you know.
Just all of that, you know, and I just feel bad for them. I really do, man. They just want a product that they can feel proud of. You know, Carolina really hasn't been in this position, man. If you like, they're one of the babies of the NFL when it comes to, like, you know, expansion. They've always kind of been in contention. Like, from the time when they first got into the league, like, they were contending. Then you got the Cam Newton era, the Jake Delhomme era. Like, I hate to see them down like this, man. But I think that you have to go through these type of situations in order to build yourself up. It's unfortunate that it has to happen this way, but hopefully this time around they'll make the right decisions. I do think they have the right guy at head coach, but it's a talent thing right now. I just think that, I mean, I don't care who you have as a head coach. If you don't have the talent on the field that can be able to win these football games and be competitive, you're never going to know what the coach can do. And I just think that, you know, over the course of time, they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll start with this year's draft, but it's going to have to take someone to come in and really do their due diligence, really scout, and really make the right decisions for this organization so they can get back to being the Carolina Panthers that we all have grown to respect.
Smitty, let's go on up to you. What did you think about this Panthers game?
Honestly, it's just what it was. Like they said, it's a train wreck. And it started with their owner. And as I told y'all a couple weeks ago, if your owner in public punching people out, that's a problem for everybody. So as I look at it, Chicago did exactly what they're supposed to do. They took care of business. And people, we give Chicago such a bad rap because their offense has been so bad for so long. But their defense has carried them all year. Even in the losses, they played pretty good. The defense did. So Caleb Williams had a 300-yard game, and that may boost his confidence. Yep. Chuba Hubbard on the other side for the Panthers, he almost had a 100-yard game despite they could not throw the football. You had both quarterbacks in this game, so now we back on that trolley with both quarterbacks again. The offensive line is pretty much built for the run game, and point blank, like TJ, like Clay said, it's a talent problem. And until they fix it through the draft, which that's going to be a while, we may be on this boat for a while with the Panthers. But again, you have to build from the ground up, and really that starts with the owner and the GM. Until they make him sell this team, I got a feeling it's going to be a long ride.
Yeah, and I want to allude to something that Smitty said that about Chuba Hubbard. The one thing that blows my mind in this last game was, even though I think we were down at a certain point. I'm trying to remember the time, but Chuba Hubbard was averaging 7.5 yards per carries. It was and he had 13 carries and he racked up 97 yards in this game. Okay.
Right.
And the Panthers as a team were getting 6.3 yards per carry. I think it was like 6 minutes going into the second quarter. I think it was 6 minutes the second quarter. After that, Chuba Hubbard only got 4 more carries the rest of the first half, which makes no sense to me why abandon the run that early. Even though if you're down 14-3, 14 to whatever, why abandon the run when you could save your defense a lot of heartache by running the ball if you're averaging that many yards per carry?
And that could have helped out the quarterback as well. That would have set up the play action. That would have set up no huddle. That might have caught the Bears off guard. And so, look, that was just a simple mistake by the coaching staff.
Yep.
James, let's get into you. What did you think about the Panthers game?
Yeah, I mean, look, much like what everybody else was saying, this is a team that just isn't very good, but is also beaten up. I mean, drafted running back Brooks hasn't played this year. Like Clay was saying, Corbett is now on the IR. Adam Thielen's on the IR. Derek Brown's on the IR. Shaq Thompson is on the IR. There's a few other players that make an impact for this Panthers team that are on the IR as well. So not only do you have to factor in that this just isn't a very good roster right now, that's trying to build up something, but now everybody's getting hurt. So, I mean, it's just not a great situation for Carolina right now in terms of just where they're at as a franchise right now. Again, this is a tough game, especially because of all the just different storylines with DJ Moore being there, Caleb Williams being there, what could have been with, all those players making an impact for the Bears. Maybe they could have made an impact for the Panthers, but look, I don't think a change at quarterback is going to help anything anymore. Like, Bryce Young did come in towards the end of the game and show a little bit of something there, but they did say that Andy Dalton's still going to be the starter. I feel like that's the right move. I still feel like Dalton gives you the best chances to win these games going forward. And also, like Clay's been saying for a little bit now, like, Chuba Hubbard is pretty darn good, man. He's fifth in the NFL in rushing yards right now. So I think they definitely need to lean on Chuba Hubbard more going forward. Give that dude 20 carries per game is what I think. And then just see where the chips fall. Like, if you're in a position to where you can try and win that game, cool. If not, then you're not, So, I mean, but Carolina, they're just looking for any type of momentum right now. They are finding a little bit in Chuba Hubbard, but then they're also losing a lot just due to all the just downright terrible injuries that they have right now.
Yeah, and before we get on to this final game here with TJ, just saw this and I wanted to share it with you guys just to kind of give a quick outlook on what we're looking at for the current playoff picture. Share this with you guys. There we go. So currently, this is what the playoff picture looks like. If the playoffs started today, these are the teams that are in. These are the teams that are out. So you have the Chiefs for the AFC, the Steelers, the Bills, the Broncos, the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Texans. Then on the NFC side of things, with the first round bye and home field advantage, you would have the Vikings. And then behind them, you have the Lions, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers would be in right now. The Falcons would be in right now, the Cowboys, surprisingly, and of course the Washington Commanders. So 2 out of 4 teams, if again the playoffs started today, would be in the playoffs. So that's kind of the outlook so far on what the division here for the NFC South looks like when it comes to the playoff picture. But TJ, why don't you break down what happened here just last night with the Kansas City Chiefs?
I mentioned at the top of this show, I mean, there's levels to this. There are teams that are elite football teams, the teams that are always going to be in playoff contention, flirting with home field advantage, flirting with a Super Bowl berth, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you have a team like the New Orleans Saints that, that are pretty much an average team. You know, I felt at the beginning of the season when I seen those 2 victories, I felt that the Saints were trending in the right direction. But I'm not one of those people that they're not going to, you know, state the obvious. Like this team, it was fool's gold. And as we've seen over the last 3 weeks, the same issues that plagued this football team, not being able to close, not being able to compete with some of the toughest teams in the league, getting out coached when you go up against a coach that knows what he's doing if you're Dennis Allen. And now you combine the fact that you have offensive line issues and a quarterback that has happy feet, that tap dances back there, looking like Gregory Hines, Fred Astaire. Anytime any pressure gets in his face, he's throwing the football, throwing it into harm's way. He's trying to protect himself. And it's just a recipe for disaster, man. Like I talked about the Atlanta Falcons, being a good football team and also having the ball bounce their way and a little bit of luck on their side. The New Orleans Saints are the anti-Falcons. Anything that could go wrong will go wrong for this football team. Rather it's injuries on the offensive line, rather it's mistakes late in games, rather it's their inability to close. I mean, it just hit after hit after hit. And now you have the injury to Derek Carr. He's going to be out multiple weeks with oblique injury. And now you're trying to figure out who's going to be the backup quarterback. Rather it's Jake Hayner, who came into the game late last night against the Kansas City Chiefs, or Monday night rather, or Spencer Rattler, the 5th-round pick out of South Carolina. So this team right now, to me, is snake bit. But I will say this. I honestly have to say that the New Orleans Saints will not reach their full potential until Dennis Allen is no longer the head coach and Derek Carr is no longer the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. It's just that plain and simple, man. When you got 2 guys that have never won anything, when you have one guy that is passive-aggressive, not willing to hold guys accountable, you got Paulson Adebo holding everybody like, you know what I'm saying, like it's his girlfriend on a Saturday night. Big play after big play, he's giving up time after time again. You got Derek Carr. He is who he is after 11 years. I mean, it's time to come to grips with it. He is who he is. He is a quarterback that is going to put up stats that has everybody feeling like he's a good quarterback. But in reality, when the game is on the line and the chips are on the table, he is not going to be able to deliver the goods. These 2 individuals got my squad looking like some straight up suckers. And as long as them boys are on this team, I don't feel like this team is going to reach their full potential. They're going to be competitive because they got good players on this football team. But when it comes down to going up against teams that have something to prove, that come in with a little bit of extra because they need that game, I question the direction and the leadership of this football team. And as long as Mickey Loomis, the general manager of the New Orleans Saints, continues to be stubborn because he's made a Teflon, because he's not just the GM, he's the vice president, so he can move a little differently. As long as he tries to keep this Dennis Allen experience going, we're going to be going around in circles, winning one, losing one, and inflicting, unnecessary pain on the Who Dat Nation and providing false hope when they go on 2-game winning streaks.
Now Colby's the one muted. There we go.
It changed up this time. It changed up.
I
learned from my lesson. I know what it's like to be on the other side now. Technical difficulties. We got to have a little sign that all of us hold up. But it's all right. Hey, look, let's go on up to Smitty. Smitty, what did you think about this Saints and Chiefs game?
Man, look, he's absolutely right. What can go wrong did go wrong. And I told y'all from the jump, he jumped down my throat. I told you Derek Carr was not that guy. I told you Dennis Allen was not that guy. We saw what he did in Oakland. Yes, he's a good defensive coordinator, but when it comes to managing the team, he's awful. He's always been awful. That was enough in Oakland to show me that he wasn't that guy. But Derek Carr, he's just what he is, man. He's a glorified game manager. Alvin Kamara could not do anything basically because Derek Carr didn't do anything. When Derek Carr goes, Alvin Kamara goes, that run game goes, and that defense, they got tired out last night. They played a hell of a game. They forced turnovers. But when you can't move the football, it's going to tire out your defense, tire out your team. And honestly, I can't wait to see what happens when we play New Orleans the next time. Dennis Allen is not that guy I told y'all, and Derek Carr is just who he is. Point blank, period. So that game was an anomaly of what this team is going to be going forward. And TJ said it all. I don't have to say no more.
All right.
Well, hopefully by the time they play y'all, he be gone by then. You know what I'm saying? So,
next head coach be fired mid-season.
Sure, I'm willing to sacrifice for the greater good here. It's just, man, it's bad, man. It's bad. Like,
I'm surprised he wasn't fired.
I tried to tell you. Y'all didn't listen to me. I tried to tell you.
I feel like I've been hearing Saints fans complain about Dennis Allen for like the last 2-3 years. Like, I feel like it's just been an ongoing thing, and they change everything other than the head coach. So who knows? Maybe if you pray hard enough as a cohesive fan base, maybe it'll finally happen, because prayer is what you're going to need for that one to happen, man.
That's karma for screwing over Ryan Nielsen.
But James, let's go over to you. What'd you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both Smitty and TJ here, where it's, look, with Dennis Allen there, with Derek Carr there, I just don't see the Saints being able to go that far as a franchise right now. I will say the injury to Derek Carr is still not good for the Saints, right? We'll see how that affects them going forward with the season. But, Colby, you mentioned it earlier. This coach specifically was just fired in Robert Saleh. And Dennis Allen and Robert Saleh feel very similar to me, where defensively, they are going to produce one of the better defenses in the entirety of the NFL, but they can't put it together offensively, right? Or their teams can't put it together offensively. So it's an interesting situation, right? And Saleh just got fired. So, maybe the clock is ticking on Dennis Allen here going forward. Like I said, he's a great defensive mind. I thought, to Smitty's point, that the defense did play well here against the Chiefs for the most part. They did give up a 100-yard rusher in Kareem Hunt. Patrick Mahomes still threw for 331 yards, but really the biggest hamper to the Saints so far the past 3 weeks has been their offense. Now things may get even worse with Derek Carr going down with an injury. I understand that he's still a limiting factor here to this offense, but I think the Saints offense right now today is still going to be worse without Derek Carr, than with him. So we'll see how they can rebound. But not only did you get a tough loss here, your third loss in a row, you're going into another tough divisional matchup against Tampa Bay. Like I said, this is a monumental game for both teams, both the Bucs and the Saints. But now you're going to be without your starting quarterback. So things are not looking great for the Saints right now.
Ooh, and Clay, why don't you wrap us up here before we get into the super chats?
Yeah, Dennis Allen got schooled by Andy Reid. That's basically what happened. Again, Allen looks like one of the worst coaches in the league. I've always thought that. I mean, his record speaks for itself. And then all that QB act, we'll say this offense talk, maybe it was a bit too early. Again, Derek Carr's a mess. All right. Things off with one of the dumbest interceptions of the season I think I've seen. Limped off on an oblique injury. He tossed a pick in 4 straight games. He can't crack a QBR rating of 100. And now he's banged up. So that's not exactly inspiring confidence. After a hot start, the Saints offense just has flatlined, scoring a sad 49 points over the last 3 losses. Injuries have hurt. But damn, Kubiak's magic touch has just vanished, and the Saints are kind of free falling right now. If Carr doesn't get his act together and Allen doesn't start coaching like he belongs, this season's going to go down the drain fast.
Ooh, short, simple, to the point. And I think everybody's kind of on the same wavelength here that the Saints are going to kind of get back and start contending again and be a good team. You got some of the pieces there. You need the coaching, right? Because a bad coaching staff can make a good roster look terrible, but a good coaching staff can make a bad roster look good. So coaching, it definitely matters. But I want to wrap up the super chats here before we end off today's video. Want to get here into Telvin with a $5 donation. Says, LOL, have any y'all noticed The Aints don't drop super chats when they ain't winning. Hashtag Smitty talk that. Talk that tick. Talk that tick. Ooh.
Talk
You don't
that
take
talk.
that? Talk
Talk
that
that
talk.
talk.
Talk that tick. Is that
Talk.
what that is?
Yeah.
Sometimes my dyslexia gets in the way a little bit, y'all. Real talk. So that's okay, though. JN coming in with a $5 donation says, great teams capitalize on their opponent's mistakes and find a way to win. Rise up, Dirty Birds. Give respect where it's due. Ooh, got some Falcons fans popping out today. Okay. T. Riley comes in with a $2 donation, says, we are still with you, TJ. Who dat? So wraps up the super chats here, and T. Riley comes in giving some love to TJ after maybe a little bit of a rough stream, a little bit of a rant stream, a little bit of a free therapy session for TJ.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good though, but I do see some positive things that's going to happen for this offense now that Derek Carr is not playing. I'm going to just leave it at that.
Crazy thing is, I think if Rattler get the job, I think he ain't going to give it back.
Hey, Colby, and I want to say this real quick.
Yeah.
We got 237 people watching. We only got 66 likes. We should
That's
be
wild, man.
over 200 likes at this point, ladies and
There
gentlemen.
ain't no reason to not be at minimum,
Yeah.
minimum 100 likes right now. I mean, 240. How much did you say we got? We got, 240 people right now. Like button goal is 200. We don't even have 100 right now. Come on, guys. Come on, wipe your feet. Leave that like
Y'all
button
gotta
on the
crank it
video,
up.
guys.
Crank it up, share it, do what y'all gotta
support
do.
us, man. It supports us so much when you guys like the video. I promise. We're not here like, oh, we want likes because it looks cool. No, we're not inflating our egos. I promise you, it actually helps us when you guys like the video because it helps the YouTube algorithm. So please, everybody, right now, it's free. It takes less than a second. Just tap your screen right now and let's see those like buttons fly up so we can hit our like button goal of 200, which should be very easy for us to do right now. I think we got one more super chat here before we end things off. Big Valley comes in with a $2 donation, says, Saints still better team than the Falcons. Hashtag fire Dennis Allen. All right. It looks like you're not the only one here, TJ, who wants Dennis Allen out.
Yeah, I think a lot of Saints fans want him out.
I feel like every Saints fan I've talked to wants him out. So, like, I don't know where the disconnection is between, ownership and the fans, but
you gotta. It's about being a leader, man. You can't be passive aggressive. You got to be able to hold guys accountable, and he just doesn't check those boxes, man. So it just kind of rubs Saints fans the wrong way. So trust and believe, man. If the Saints don't end up having a good season and Dennis Allen is fired, that feels like a playoff win for a lot of Saints fans. To be honest, they want him gone, man.
The season's not successful for the Saints if they go to the playoffs, win a playoff game. The season is successful if you move on from Dennis freaking Allen. But, guys, that is going to wrap up today's stream, recapping week 5 of the NFL season. We appreciate you guys for watching. We will see you. Well, you'll see us in a few days when we preview week 6. But we will see you guys live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, please make sure you guys stay safe in this hurricane no matter where you are. Take precautions. Take care of your friends, your family, your loved ones, strangers. Take care of the animals, too. Part that a lot of people forget to do. Let's not forget about those animals that also need help right now. Trust me, they literally cannot do this without the help of us. So let's keep those animals in mind. Shout out again to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Make sure to use that promo code YouTube150. That is YouTube150 to get an exclusive limited time offer of a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by $125 on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. But other than that, we appreciate you guys for watching. Stay safe.